Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I am going to talk about how to determine gradient of a straight line. But do you remember or do you know what is gradient? Mathematically, gradient is the ratio between the change in the vertical direction, the change in y values, and the change in the horizontal direction, the change in x values, from one point to another along the line. To understand this better, look at 2 points on the line. We will say this the first point and this the second point. For find or to find the gradient, we look how far the second point is above or below from the first one. That give us a vertical distance. And how far it is to the right. And that give us a horizontal distance. So, gradient is simply the ratio of the vertical distance and the horizontal distance, or gradient is simply the vertical distance divided by horizontal distance. Or we can write the formula with m equal to the vertical distance, because a vertical in Cartesius diagram is y, so we can write the vertical distance with delta y divided by the horizontal distance. Because horizontal distance is in Cartesius diagram is x, so we can write here for horizontal distance delta x. So this is the basic concept or basic formula to find gradient. But do we have to draw the line first to find the gradient? Of course not. There are several formulas we can use to find the gradient. In this video, we will talk about 4 formulas that we can use to find the gradient of the straight line. The first formula is when a line through the origin. Let's see this picture. We know that if a line through the origin, it must pass through the point 0, 0. And for find the gradient of the lines, we just need one more point that lies on the line. Let's say the second point is xy, where x is the value on the x-axis and y is the value on the y-axis. This means the horizontal distance from the origin 0, 0 to the point xy is x, and the vertical distance from the origin to point xy is y. So, the formula when aligned through the origin is m equal to vertical distance or delta y divided by horizontal distance or delta x equal to, in here we know that the vertical distance is y, so we can write here y divided by the horizontal distance is x. So, formula to know or to determine gradient of a line through the origin is m equal to y divided by x. For example, what is the gradient of line that passes through the origin and point 3, 1? Since a line passes through the origin, we can use the formula we mentioned earlier, m equal to y divided by x. But first, we must to identify the values of x and y. In this question, we know that the line passes through point 3, 1. So, we know that the values of x is 3 and the values of y is 1. Now, we can substitute these values to the formula. M equal to y divided by x. Y is 1, so we can write here 1 divided by x is 3, so we can write here 3. So, the gradient of a line which or that passes through the origin and point 31 is 1 over 3. Okay, what if the line doesn't pass through the origin? We will try to formulate the formula. A line, of course, will always pass through at least 2 points. Let's say the first point is x1, y1, and the second point is x2, y2. For determine the gradient, we must to know the vertical distance and the horizontal distance from the first point to the second point. Let's see the picture. The green line represents the vertical distance from the origin to the second point, x2, y2. And then the length is y2 from this to this. From this to this. And then the first orange line represents the vertical distance from the origin to the first point, x1, y1. And the length is y1. So, the vertical distance from the first point x1, y1 to the second point x2, y2 is a subtraction from the green line with the first orange line. Or here we represent with the second orange line. And then, because the length of green line is y2, and then the length of the first orange line is y1, so the length of the second orange line, this is y2 minus y1. Now, the blue line represent the horizontal distance from the origin to the second point x2, y2, with the length is x2, and then the first pink line represent the horizontal distance from origin to the first point x1, y1, and then the length is x1. So the horizontal distance from the first point to the second point is subtraction x2, the blue line, with x1, the first pink line. Or in here, we represent by the second pink line, because the blue line is x2 and the first pink line is x1, so the length of the second pink line is x2 minus x1. So the horizontal distance from the first point to the second point is x2 minus x1. Now, we can formulate the formula to determine gradient of a line between 2 points. We know that m, or gradient, equal to delta y for vertical distance divided by delta x for horizontal distance. Now, we can subtract the value of the vertical distance and the horizontal distance. So, delta y equal to y2 minus y1, and then delta x, we can write x2 minus x1. So, this is the formula if we have to know the gradient of a line between 2 points. For example, a line passes through point 4, 2, and point 8, 0. What is the gradient? For answer this question, we can use the formula we mentioned before. And the formula is m equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, now we know that the line passes through 2 points. The first point is 4, 2, so the value of x1 is 4 and y1 is 2. And then the second point is 8, 0. So the value of x2 equal to 8 and the value of y2 is 0. Now we can substitute this value x1, y1, x2, y2 to the formula. M equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 equal to y2 is 0. We can write here 0 minus y1 2 divided by x2 8 minus x1 4 equal to 0 minus 2 equal to minus 2 and then 8 minus 4 equal to 4. Now we can simplify this fraction and then equal to minus 1 divided by 2 or the gradient of the line is minus 1 over 2. The third formula is gradient of a line parallel with x-axis. Have you ever learned that when a line goes down, the gradient is negative? And when a line goes up, the gradient is positive. Now, imagine we rotate the line from downward to upward. At first, it slopes downward, so the gradient of the line is negative. Then the line it becomes flat, but we don't know the gradient yet. And then after that, the line slopes upward and the gradient, of course, positive. Since the flat line comes after negative gradient and before positive gradient, so the gradient of the flat line is between negative and positive number or between negative and positive gradient. So what is number between negative and positive number? And then the answer is 0. So gradient of a line parallel to the x-axis is 0. For example, gradient line y equal to 4 is because y equal to 4 parallel with x-axis, so the gradient of the line is m equal to 0. The fourth formula is for gradient of a line parallel to the y-axis. Let's see the picture. This is the line, and this is 2 points on the line. We can see that there is not a horizontal. Ulangi lagi. The fourth formula is for gradient of a line parallel to the y-axis. Let's see the picture. This is the line, and then this is 2 points on the line. We can see that there is not horizontal distance from first point to the second point. There is not horizontal distance from first point to the second point. So, that means the horizontal distance is 0. Now, we can substitute the value of horizontal distance to the basic formula of gradient. Gradient m equal to delta y for vertical distance divided by delta x for horizontal distance. We can write delta y plus delta y divided by delta x. Horizontal distance is 0, so we can write 0. Now, whatever the number is, if it is divided by 0, the result is undefined. So, the gradient of a line parallel to the y-axis is always undefined. For example, gradient line x equal to 2 is because x equal to 2 parallel with y-axis, so the gradient of the line is undefined. That's how to find gradient of a straight line. So, thank you for watching and see you on the next video.